Thank you for tuning in to the Sex and Suicide Soulfire Sunday podcast. I am your host, Shawn Evans. I also have with me my co-host, Scott Milne, IFBB Pro. Yeah, okay, no problem. He's going to grab his notes. And Paulie O'Byrne is the founder of 1 in 5 as well. We're going to put links to both their pages on the bottom of this video when we're done here. Thanks for coming, boys. So tonight's topic is going to be stop being angry and control your mood swings. For those of you that aren't familiar with what we're doing a cognitive behavioral therapy approach to attacking anxiety and depression, which is a 15-week course from the Midwest Center with Lucinda Bassett. You can get that at stresscenter.com if you're interested. But we've got some exciting news from Paulie tonight, right?
I guess so.
Well, an exciting update. It's not really news. We talked about the OPP mental health speaking the last couple of weeks, but let's hear about what you did this week, buddy.
So I flew on a little tin can airplane to Thunder Bay, and I spoke at the headquarters in Thunder Bay, and it was
for OPP, right?
The OPP. It was a really cool experience. Just I've never seen Northern Ontario from the sky before. It was super cool.
Puddle jumpers.
Yeah, a little puddle jumper. It was fun. It was really fun. I'm just grateful to be working with the OPP on this strategy. I think it's like a fun experience. I'm grateful to be part of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How's it going? Like, how are you being received when you go there? It's all positive feedback.
It's all solid positive feedback. It's like actually kind of blossomed into other speaking engagements too. So,
awesome.
Like it's not that is kind of. I'm just glad that the message is getting out there to more people, right?
Sure.
To more frontline people, and that's kind of what the goal was from the start, is try to get this out to the frontline constables and the people that are arresting people.
But it's a nice side effect to have speaking engagements coming in for sure, because that's just going to spread the message even further.
And as long it's more about the message than anything else, right?
Yeah, just like this.
Yeah, if we get as many people just even commenting or talking about sexual abuse or addiction or mental health, I think that's a way that we can smash the stigma. We don't have to go to funerals anymore.
Absolutely.
Definitely, yeah.
Knock on wood, right?
Yeah.
We're getting closer than we've ever been, right?
You betcha.
So, how was your week, Scott?
It was good, I guess.
It was good?
Yeah.
What did you find with this session? Let's talk about the session right now, which is really focused on anger. I know that this session really spoke to me because even just last weekend I had a fucking snap reaction. And that was with family members. It was just one of those things where at the dinner table with mom and dad, let the wrong comment that get to me and just kind of went off the handle a little bit. So I definitely needed this session to come into play right now. How have you guys dealt with anger throughout your past? Like, what has been sort of your pattern if you think back?
Mine hasn't been good, that's for sure. I've been an angry person for a long time.
Do you think that you have a temper, or would you say you have like a snap?
Yeah, I definitely have a temper for sure. I'm Irish, and I used to blame it on that, but I'm angry.
Yeah.
I'm definitely an angry person. It's gotten a lot better since I got sober, but I'm definitely still an angry person, and I work on that. I think this came at the right time.
Yeah.
To really
shine a light on that?
Yeah, to shine a light on that, yeah.
What about you, buddy?
I'm not typically an angry person. Like, I've only lost my temper a couple times in my life.
Yeah.
I more internalize it, which is bad.
Right. So there's two sides of it, right? There's the side where, as we kind of went through, there's the side where, like Paulie and myself, we tend to snap and overreact. Would you say you overreact?
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big overreactor. And then there's the other way where you kind of bottle it down. And either you get angry with yourself for kind of keeping it in, or you just it's not healthy. You got to release it somehow. I don't know, right? So anyway, when we get to the audio, we listened to the audio session with Lucinda, and Lucinda, we took some notes, and we'll kind of go through some of the notes that we took, and you guys just chime in when something hits home to you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So this hits with people with anxiety and depression are usually either really good at being angry. So angry that they're aggressive, maybe even explosive at times. Or they're really, really good at holding it all in, being victimized and manipulated and controlled and dominated. So for a big guy like yourself, some people might find that interesting because you wouldn't think that...
It's the exact opposite.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite. And people have taken advantage of that and manipulated you.
Huge.
Yeah.
I think that's like what I'm struggling with now is like, especially over the last couple of years, what I've dealt with and my friends, like, just everything that they've, so-called friends, as you say, everything they've done to me, like, now I'm really struggling with my anger.
Right. Like, do you have Do you want to release that in some way? Is that kind of what's been happening? Like, is it trying to surface? Yeah, maybe. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
which is bad,
right?
because if it does, like, you know,
you got a lot of weight behind you to terrorize shit.
Because that's what people always said. You know, they always make these comments. Man, if I had your size, I'd just like beat the shit out of people. I'm like, yeah, I did that. I killed people.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like the
And
one
it's
time
not
I
who
did
you
was
are,
one time
man.
I put a guy through a wall.
Wow, I'm glad I wasn't that guy.
You know.
Yeah,
So,
but I mean,
Like you just said.
so I don't know which is
that's
worse,
who
like
you
taking
are,
it out on
right,
somebody
yeah.
or internalizing it. 'Cause
Yeah.
when I internalize it, then, you know, like, I guess that's probably where part of my addiction came from, right?
right.
Right.
Abusing myself and trying to swallow all these emotions and feelings with drugs.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of self-awareness there. So, I mean, you should be proud of yourself for realizing all that. It obviously took some time, but you're getting there.
Yeah.
And, like, being angry is, like we said, there's a few different ways to handle it,
Yeah.
neither of which is healthy, right? So this is kind of a healthier way of dealing with it. So we've just said there's two kinds of anger, and we've got both kinds right here. So neither one of these responses are healthy. It's believed that anger is genetic and environmental, which I think is huge.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's why I say I'm Irish, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely. My dad was angry. My papa was angry. The O'Byrne men are angry men,
Right.
and I think that I'm no different than them, and I don't blame them for that. I just kind of say, well, that's who I am.
Partly learned behavior. Then,
Yeah,
right?
it's definitely
You grew up
exactly.
I've seen
Yeah,
that.
it's learned
That was the
behavior.
opposite. I
Right.
grew up in very, like, no one ever yelled in my household.
Right.
I never seen my parents, like, swear at each other or yell or anything.
I hate it. I
Never
hate
done.
anger. Like
Yeah.
I really do. I really do. I don't like anger around me because it sends some trigger. Like, and I've had to work on that. Like
Yeah.
in therapy, that like I just don't like yelling and screaming. I hate it happening.
Yeah.
It's not conducive to any, solution to anything. Really,
Right.
yelling and screaming is just kind of wasting your lung power. To
Well,
me.
it's a waste of energy.
Right. It is a
Right.
big waste of energy.
And I'm the
So
same.
you really just found yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they kind of tell you in this too, right? Is we end up being the ones when you get angry. Who do you end up hurting? You end up hurting yourself most of the
It's
time.
like drinking poison and then hoping the other person will die.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a great analogy.
That is actually.
That's a really good
it
analogy.
doesn't work that way, right? Like that's how anger works, but you don't want it to work that way. You want
No.
the other person to die from it, and you're drinking poison.
Right, and we'll get into a little more detail of what that reference is to.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that just being genetic and environmental at the same time, it's almost like, well, as a little toddler, if you think about your environment, it's genetic in the sense that maybe it was learned behavior through the generations,
Mm-hmm.
but if you've seen people get angry, you're absorbing all that. You're seeing that
Yeah.
firsthand. So
Yeah.
whether it's genetic or environmental or kind of a combination of both, it's just while you were young, whether you were in the environment, if you were exposed to it really at all, you're probably going to continue to bring that up.
Exactly.
So that hit home for me a little bit. So anger can be learned and it can become an addictive bad habit. And you need to break that habit. So the more you practice anything, the better you get at it. We know that very well. So whether it's negative thinking, worrying, or being angry, the more you practice it, the better you become. Many people who suffer from anxiety and depression are either really bad at expressing their anger, they get irritated very easily, they feel like a time bomb ready to go off, which would sort of be us,
Yeah.
or they don't express it at all, almost like they don't think they have a right to any anger. So it's very black and white, which is kind of like you, right? So it's very black and white, so from extreme to extreme. And we tend to think in terms of black and white when the world is extremely colorful, which is kind of like each situation is unique, but because we develop these patterns, especially if you're already an anxious person and an overthinker, you have like a pattern that you go to. It's just automatic after a
It
while.
almost turns into an addiction, right? That's what I've written down here, that like control is an addiction and that anger is just a loss of control, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that can become addicting. Like it
Yeah.
really, I know for me, for a long time while I was actively using, that I thought I had every right to be angry.
Right.
I thought I had every right to be angry at this person who molested me. I had every right to be angry at my family.
Yeah.
Like, I really thought that, and really this person, say like the person that molested me, he didn't know I was angry.
Right.
It wasn't harming him at all that I was so angry. I was
Right.
like I was turning it inwards, but people knew. People were like, "Oh, don't fuck with Paulie, like he's pissed," right? And
Right.
that's just the way it was, and I kind of thrived off that. And
Yeah.
I don't. Now that I'm sober, I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
And that takes time too, right? That takes a lot of work.
That does take a lot of work.
Forgive myself first and foremost, right?
Mhm.
I think that's what it all comes down to, is just forgiving myself, and that's a process in itself.
Right.
It takes years.
Yeah, for sure. Forgiveness takes time.
Yeah.
Again, like they say, I mean, it's a bad habit. It's not going to break overnight. You got to work on this shit. So, so people who suffer from anxiety and depression usually have no idea how to use anger effectively. And there is a way to do that, which I found interesting because I didn't really think it had a place anywhere.
Right.
Because it's okay to have anger. Mm-hmm. It's a way to communicate. Many of us have a hard time expressing our anger because we don't want to hurt someone. We might even be better at expressing it to someone we are close to, but we may have a tough time expressing it to others, such as colleagues at work. And the reason for that is that we want everyone to think we're in control and confident, and that's how we want to appear.
Right.
I think that's how everybody wants to appear. And often we'll hold it in, and when we get home at night, we'll either take it out on the kids, or take it out on the dog, or take it out on family members, because we know we can show them that angry side of us, and they'll still love us.
Right.
Which is kind of shitty, man, because
You always take it out on
you
someone
always-
that's close.
yeah,
right?
you
'Cause
always
you know
take-
that they're not going anywhere.
yeah, unless you're in a relationship where you're bringing it up repeatedly with your significant other, and then if that's continuing to happen, they should leave, really.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless someone can only take so much abuse.
Right.
So, but to express it in front of our coworkers and express that vulnerable side of us, we need approval. We need to be liked at all costs. So we'll only show it to certain people,
Yeah.
the anger and that. And I've definitely been on the receiving and the giving end of that with people that I've loved and cared about.
Most definitely. I think we all have, really.
Yeah.
I think because anger is a normal emotion.
Yeah.
We're not gonna stop anger from happening.
Right.
There's gonna be a lot of things in life that make us angry. I think it's just like resilience. It's how we deal with it. Like if someone's angry towards me, it's how I deal with that. And I mean, right now I'm trying not to respond or react.
Right.
For a while, right?
Right.
Like I give it the 5x5 rule, or the 24-hour rule. Like,
Yeah.
is it gonna matter in 5 years? Then I'll spend about 5 minutes being angry about it, and I gotta let it go. Then
That's a good rule.
if it's not gonna matter in 5 years, then I don't spend any more than 5 minutes being angry about it. But
What about
that's hard too?
It is.
Like,
Well, it's
that's
harder.
gonna be tough.
It's hard because in 5 years you might not remember a person you were dating,
Right.
and that might take a pretty big toll on you at the time.
Oh, for sure.
Like that might be a sort of a unique circumstance in which it requires more than 5 minutes.
Oh, for sure. Like, and that's where like the 24-hour thing comes in.
Yeah.
That's when hockey parents are pissed at me, I always say, like, you got to give me 24 hours. If you're still mad, then talk to me, right? If
Yeah.
you're still as mad as you are in 24 hours, let's cool it though, because our emotions do get the best of us, and not very many people know how to communicate anger effectively.
No,
Right.
not at all.
I don't.
No?
I don't, no.
Well, this is all stuff that we can learn. So I mean, that's
Yeah.
the good news, right? And we'll go through that in weeks to come. It's more so about being assertive than it is about being angry.
Mhm.
But you're allowed to feel angry.
Yeah.
That she does talk about that rule. It's the first time I've heard the 5x5 rule. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I like that too.
The 24-hour rule, I have heard. She kind of talks about it in here. We're kind of jumping ahead, but basically it means, if you're upset about something, don't respond or react
Yeah.
for 24 hours. And then if you're still upset about it, communicate to whatever, whether it's an individual or the situation, communicate in an assertive and positive way and express yourself.
Right.
Rather than that whole,
Lashing out around.
lashing out is a perfect rule.
You write the big long email to them and don't send it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a couple days, reread it, and they're like,
It doesn't matter anymore.
No.
Yeah, for sure. I've been getting better and better at that. I used to be the guy that wrote those long ass text
And then
messages
send.
and sent it, right?
Right away.
Now I'll start to write it still. I catch myself and I'll be like, you know what? That's not necessary. That's not who I am anymore. This is an
Yeah.
old bad behavior. It's an old
I
pattern.
think that's a sign of maturity too.
I think so
I
too.
think that really is just saying, like, pick your battles.
Yeah,
Really?
as you get
Pick
older.
your battles, yeah.
Sometimes it's still hard. Sometimes I
it's hard
still
as
want
fuck,
to.
For sure it is.
I still want to smack people over stupid shit sometimes, but
100%.
yeah.
I think it's hard, just like as humans.